Good morning. This is the February 16th, 2023 meeting of the Syracuse Board of Review. This hearing is being held via video conference call, WebEx, at the following location: Hughes State Office Building, 333 East Main Hearing Room, first floor, Syracuse, New York, 202. Time now is 9:37, and this hearing is officially open. Members of the board are my far left, Gail Swistek; to my immediate left, Jeffrey Hinderlater; and to my right, Andrew Garland. Board members Jackie Coons and Andy Ellis will be joining the board later. My name is Steve Thomas Parsons, Chairman.
Tom, you're cutting out.
I was just going to say that.
You're cutting in and out.
Can't tell. I don't know what else to do. This computer. Yeah.
Tulio, can you fix it?
Yeah, I'll put on my IT hat today.
All right.
Would you like to go off the record?
Yeah, go off the record.
We're off.
Esta audiencia está siendo grabada. Ya estamos en las actas.
Good morning. This is the February 16th, 2023 meeting of the Syracuse Board of Review. This hearing is being held via video conference call, WebEx, at the following location.
Buenos días, esta es la junta del 16 de febrero del 2023 en Syracuse y esta audiencia está siendo grabada y también está siendo por video.
Hughes State Office Building, 333 West Washington Street, Main Hearing Room, first floor, Syracuse, New York.
Es en el 333 de West Washington, en Syracuse, Nueva York.
The time now is 9:40.
La hora ahora mismo es las 9:40.
And this hearing is officially open.
The interpreter couldn't hear. May I have a repetition, please?
The time is 9:40, and this hearing is officially open.
It's officially open.
La hora es ahora mismo las 9:40 y esta reunión es oficialmente está abierta para continuación.
The members of the board are Andrew Garlock, Gail Swistek, Jeffrey Hinderlater. My name is C. Thomas Parsons, Chairman. From the Department of State is Tom DiTullio.
Están las personas Andy, el apellido no se escuchó, Gail Swister, Jeff Hinderlater y del departamento del Estado es William DiTullio.
We will now hear the scheduled petitions.
Ahora escucharemos la agenda, las peticiones que están en la agenda.
When you speak, please address the board and give your name, title, and legal address so that our court reporter can have all the information requested.
Cuando ustedes hablen, por favor, hablen claramente, den sus nombres, su título y cómo se dirige a la junta directiva para que entonces la taquígrafa pueda tomar la información.
We may have to stop from time to consult with our technical staff.
Puede que de tiempo a tiempo tendremos que parar para poder conferenciar con los técnicos, las personas encargadas de la tecnología.
In making comments to the board, please provide a descriptive narrative on the matters referring to your exhibits to enable the court reporter to enter these into the record.
Si usted necesita dirigirse a la directiva, entonces por favor tenga en descripción de qué se trata para entonces poder tomar la información, la taquígrafa pueda tomar la información.
The first hearing is in the matter of Mary Lou Panas.
La primera audiencia es el asunto de la causa de Marilu Faras, que es la peticionada.
Petition number 2022-048.
El número de la petición es el 2022-0485.
The petition pertains to a variance seeking relief, decommission a required existing fire escape to an existing third floor attic apartment.
The
Subject,
interpreter is having trouble hearing. It's cutting off.
the petition pertains to a variance seeking relief, decommission a required existing fire escape to an third floor attic apartment. Subject building
Existing fire escape to what?
to an existing third floor attic apartment.
Uh,
The subject building is a three.
peticiones de una variación. La petición es de una variación. La variación pidiendo algún cambio desde el fire escape, que es el escape de fuego, hasta un ático.
The subject building is a 3-unit apartment building.
El edificio el sujeto es el edificio del cual se menciona es un edificio de apartamentos de 3 pisos.
Petitioner is seeking relief from Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York State.
Pardon, it's not clear.
Petitioner is seeking relief from Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York State. Multiple residence law, Article.
In 1 mile at the roundabout, take the second exit onto Harding Highway.
I apologize to ask this again. The interpreter speaking right now, I'm having trouble hearing. It's cutting off. Sounds are coming in. I apologize. Please, is it possible to have a repetition, please?
Other people who are online, please make sure you mute your phone because we're getting feedback.
Las otras personas que estén en línea, por favor, silencien sus teléfonos o sus equipos porque estamos teniendo mucho ruido.
The petitioner is seeking relief from Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York State, Multiple Residence Law, Article 3, Section 26, which states that in every such dwelling 3 stories or more in height, there shall be from story at least 2 independent means of egress accessible to each apartment or suite.
I need a repetition. It was too much information and too fast. Please repeat.
The petitioner is seeking relief from
La peticionada busca alivio o ayuda de
Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York State,
capítulo 61B de las leyes de Nueva York,
Multiple Residence Law,
leyes de residentes múltiples,
Article 3,
artículo 3,
Section 26,
sección 26,
which states that in every such dwelling 3 stories or more in height,
que declara que en tal vivienda de 3 pisos o más,
there shall be from each story
debe tener en cada piso
at least 2 independent means of egress
por lo menos dos salidas independientes,
accessible to each apartment or suite.
accesibles a cada apartamento o a cada suite. Thank you.
Does the applicant wish to make a statement?
La solicitante quiere hacer alguna declaración.
No, yo lo que quiero decirle es que yo no he podido hacer lo que ellos me están pidiendo porque es demasiado caro y yo no tengo yo no he ganado yo lo que gané en este año fue 15,000 pesos.
What I
Entonces,
would like, espere, what I would like to tell them is that I haven't been able to do what they have asked me to do because what I was able to earn this year was only $15,000 and it's too expensive. ¿Siga?
entonces ellos hay una escalera de escape, pero que ellos dicen que no pasa la inspección y
And so
vinieron.
there is, and so there is a fire escape, but they say that it doesn't pass inspection. ¿Siga?
Entonces, esa es la escalera que ha estado siempre y los bomberos han venido siempre y no ha pasado nada. Y ahora es que tengo ese problema con esa escalera que ellos quieren que la hagan de
Entonces, cortas.
nuevo.
And so that is, fire escape has always been there and there's never been a problem. The firemen have always come and there's never been a problem. It is just now that it's that I'm having that problem that they come. Que ellos vienen y qué?
Entonces, o que le hagan un arreglo a la escalera, pero entonces la garantía de eso nada más, ellos no dan mucho tiempo de garantía, entonces yo no he ganado el
Gracias.
dinero para hacerlo, para hacer ese arreglo.
Frases cortas. And so they should come and fix it, but they should leave some kind of guarantee, that it's going to work. I haven't made the money to be able to do that.
Porque yo vivo con dos hijos míos aquí nada más y mi mamá. Yo no estoy cogiendo renta de esta casa, yo nada más vivo con mis hijos.
Because I live here with two sons of mine and my mother, and I'm not getting any rent for this apartment. It's just with them that I live.
Have you had an engineer inspect the fire escape to determine if it is safe?
¿Ha tenido usted un ingeniero que venga a chequear el escape de la escalera de escape de fuego para para determinar si está segura?
Ellos vinieron y la
Frases cortas.
inspeccionaron de Orban y vinieron y la inspeccionaron y yo pagué 600 pesos por la inspección, pero no pasó
They
la
came from-
inspección.
They came from Albany and they came to do the inspection and I paid $600 for it, but it didn't pass the inspection.
Do you have an estimate of how much it will cost to repair the fire escape?
The interpreter needs a repetition, please. Couldn't hear.
Did she get an estimate of how much it would cost to repair the fire escape?
¿Tiene usted un estimado de cuánto costaría reparar el escape de fuego?
Ellos me dijeron que cuando ellos me dieron el estimado, me dieron 16,000 pesos, pero no sé lo que cobrarían ahora después de la pandemia, no sé, por ellos me dieron un estimado de 16,000 pesos y que la garantía nada más era de 5 años.
They gave me an estimate of $16,000. I don't know how much it'll cost now after the pandemic, but they gave me that estimate of $16,000. They said the guarantee would only be for 5 years.
Is that to repair or to replace the fire escape?
¿Eso es para reparar o reemplazar la escalera de escape de fuego?
Eso es para reemplazar la escalera, para hacer
That is to
otra de hierro, así mismo como está hecha de hierro.
That is to replace the fire escape it is to replace it with the same type that it is there now, made of iron.
Does she currently rent the apartment?
¿Usted en el presente alquila ese apartamento?
No, con los hijos míos que yo vivo aquí nada más.
No, it's only with my sons that I live here only.
Does it have a separate entrance to the apartment from the entrance to your home?
Cut off at the end. Does it have a separate entrance to the apartment?
Yes. Does it have
Tiene
a
una,
separate entrance that is separated from the home that she lives in?
tiene una entrada separada que es separada de la casa de donde usted vive.
Sí, tiene una entrada separada.
Yes, it has a separate entrance.
Any questions?
If the variance is granted, what is your plan for maintaining safety in that apartment?
Si la variación es dada, es otorgada, ¿cuál es su plan para mantener la seguridad en esa área, en ese apartamento, en ese local?
Porque la escalera que está atrás no es que no se puede bajar, ella está segura porque ella está asegurada atrás por dentro de la casa. Lo que pasa es que cuando usted baja, la escalera
Gracias,
se mueve
Cortés.
un poco
Espere,
nada
espere.
más.
It is secure, the part of the back behind the house. It is just that when one goes down the stairs, it shakes a little bit.
If the variance is granted and we allow the request to abandon the fire escape, it would no longer be considered safe for use. How will you
Y
make it
nosotros-
safe?
Si nosotros otorgamos la variación y entonces le pedimos que no use la escalera de escape, entonces, ¿cómo es que usted hará para hacer que la escalera esté segura? ¿Cómo estará segura para usted?
Porque como que le digo, la escalera siempre ha estado ahí y ella
Like I
que-
told you, like
yo no entiendo cómo es que yo voy a quitar la escalera de ahí.
I don't understand how is it that I'm going to remove the stairs from there, the fire escape from there.
¿Cómo tú vas a tener la casa salvo, mami? Tienes
The
que
inspection,
How are you going to have the
Con la
house
escalera, con la
safe
escalera.
for me?
poner la
Funciona.
escalera después.
Perdón?
the
Or-
inspec- the inspection states that it is no longer safe to use and either needs replacement or repair.
Usas.
La inspección indica que no está segura ni para usted ni para nadie, no está segura. Entonces, ¿cómo es que usted va a hacer el reparo para que esté segura?
And so you are asking for a variance to not need that fire escape any longer.
Y usted está pidiendo una variación para no necesitar más esa escalera de escape.
Sí,
So if
Yes.
if we approve no fire escape, what alternative way are you going to make those apartments safe?
¿Cómo tú vas a
Entonces, si nosotros otorgamos esa variación, ¿cómo es que usted, si usted no tendrá ya la escalera de escape, cómo es que usted va a hacer que esos apartamentos estén seguros?
eso es lo que yo quiero, que a ver cómo me ayudan, cómo yo puedo, qué puedo yo hacer en esta situación que yo estoy.
That's what I want. That's what I want to know. That I want to know if how they can help me, so that they can help me with the situation that I'm in.
In your application, you say you will introduce ladders to throw out windows. Is that true?
Ladders to what, please?
To throw out the windows.
En su pedido de la variación, usted dice que introducirá algunas escaleras que puede tirar por las ventanas.
Si se puede, lo que ustedes me digan que yo pueda hacer, porque yo no sé lo que yo pueda hacer.
If it can be done, because you can tell me what it is that I can do, because I don't know what it is that I can do.
If you remove the fire escape, would you agree not to have anybody sleep on the third floor?
Si usted retira la escalera de escape, el fire escape, entonces usted se pondrá de acuerdo a que nadie duerma en el tercer piso. Yes,
Tendría que hacerlo.
I would have to do it.
Okay.
Okay.
If we grant the variance to allow you to remove the fire escape in lieu of repairing it, it will also require that no one is allowed to sleep on the third floor.
Bien, si otorgamos entonces que usted retire la escalera de escape en vez de repararla, entonces tendrá que aceptar que nadie duerma en el tercer piso.
Ok, entonces no hay otra forma de hacer que se repare eso de otra forma, que no sea hacer la escalera completa.
Okay, so there's no other way to have it done that it can be repaired and another way to be repaired so that the whole fire escape doesn't have to be done completely?
No.
No.
Bueno, pues el hijo mío se tendrá que ir de ahí entonces.
Well, my son would have to leave there then.
Yes, he could stay up there, but he can't sleep up there. He would have to sleep on the second floor or the first floor.
Sí, él se puede quedar ahí, pero él no puede dormir ahí. Él tendrá que quedarse a dormir en el segundo o en el primer piso.
Ok. Lo que pasa es que esto es pequeñito, de 2 habitaciones. Entonces yo tengo a mi mamá aquí durmiendo y el otro tiene el otro apartamento y lo tiene ocupado también. Entonces, por eso es que
Espere. What happens is this is very small. This is a very small place. It's just 2 bedrooms. And I have my mother here too. And the other one has the other room. El otro tiene el otro apartamento, la otra habitación, ¿y qué?
sí, que la tiene ocupada.
And he has the other room and it's occupied.
The problem is for her that the fire escape is unsafe.
El
It
problema,
has to be replaced, repaired, or removed. And
entonces el problema que usted tiene es que la escalera de escape no está segura. Entonces tiene usted que reemplazarla, repararla, reemplazarla o retirarla.
Sí, te lo
No,
pones en la escalera.
ya yo lo voy a retirar porque yo no puedo poner la escalera, yo no tengo el dinero para ponerla.
I'm going to have it removed because I don't have the money to repair the fire escape.
if she removes the fire escape, no one can sleep on the third floor, and she cannot rent the third floor apartment out or third floor rooms out to anyone else. It could only be her family that lives in the home that could use the third floor, but not for sleeping.
Entonces, si usted sí retira la escalera de escape, no puede alquilar esa habitación en el tercer piso, no puede alquilarla, puede a alguien más. Alguien de su familia está bien que puede estar ahí, pero no puede alquilarla a nadie más. De la familia pueden estar ahí, pero no pueden dormir en ese piso, tienen que dormir en otro piso.
Bueno, pregúntale si tú puedes poner la escalera chiquita. Se lo intentó
Ok.
decir.
Entonces no se puede poner la otra opción de la escalera pequeña, de la que se abre.
So there's not the option to have the other small ladder put in, the one that opens up?
So does the city of Utica require you to have a rental permit that is making this building a multiple residence?
La ciudad de Utica le requiere a usted que tenga un permiso de alquiler que entonces pasa a designar este edificio como una residencia múltiple.
No, porque es que yo no lo tengo rentado, porque es que son los hijos míos que viven aquí. Ese es el problema, que yo no tengo rentado.
No, because I haven't rented it. It's just my sons that live here. That's the problem. I haven't rented it.
Andy, you have any questions?
¿Tienen otras preguntas?
Okay, we are going to go into recess, and we're going to go to deliberation, and we'll be back in about 15 minutes to render our decision.
Nosotros vamos entonces a un receso, vamos a deliberar, a tomar una deliberación, una decisión. Entonces volveremos en aproximadamente 15 minutos.
Can the board acknowledge the fire marshal for the city of Utica, please?
Pardon?
Say, can the board acknowledge the fire marshal for the city of Utica, please?
La Junta puede dar conocimiento de que está el alguacil del fuego, de la ciudad de Utica, por favor.
Okay,
Gerald, nice to see you.
Hi, how are you? Can everyone
Gusto
hear
en
me?
verle. ¿Qué tal está? ¿Todos me pueden ver a mí?
yes, go ahead with your statement, Gerald.
Hi, I'm
Sí, por
Gerald
favor.
I'm
Sí.
Gerald Forrest. I'm the fire marshal for the city of Utica. My address is 552 Bleecker Street, Utica, New York, 13501.
Hola, sí, siga entonces, señor. Mi nombre es Gerald Foster, soy el alguacil de fuego. Estoy en la ciudad de Utica y es en el 552 de Bleecker Street, en Utica, Nueva York, 13501.
Before the board goes into deliberation, may I say a couple of comments, please?
Antes de que la Junta vaya, a la Junta Directiva vaya a tomar sus decisiones, ¿puedo dar unos comentarios, por favor?
Go ahead.
So
Siga.
I agree with
Adelante.
I agree with the board. I just like to make a couple of comments pertaining to the property. That young lady, go ahead.
Yo estoy de acuerdo, thank you. Yo estoy de acuerdo con la directiva. Solo quiero dar algunos comentarios sobre la propiedad.
I apologize that this particular case got so far to the board.
Le pido perdón que este caso particular fue a seguir a tan lejos con la Junta.
Never met with Miss Fannis at site because I could have.
Nunca me he reunido.
Go ahead, sorry.
Nunca me he reunido con la señora Sanas en el sitio,
Because I could have directed her in a different direction.
porque yo la pudiese haber dirigido a ella en una dirección diferente.
In my experience, I don't think removing the fire escape or decommissioning the fire escape would be a good idea.
En mi experiencia, retirar el escape de fuego, la escalera de escape no es la mejor idea, no sería, o decomisionarlo, no sería la mejor idea.
To the board, I feel that if she doesn't have the funds to either repair the fire escape as per her quote of $689,
hasta el punto de que si ella no tiene los fondos para arreglar la escalera de escape, sobre el pedido que le han hecho, la cantidad que le dijeron, $689.
or her replace price of $16,000,
O la cantidad que le dieron de $16,000 para reemplazarlo.
where is she going to find the funds to decommission and hire someone to dismantle the fire escape if the board comes back with a approval of decommissioning the fire escape.
Entonces, ¿cómo es que ella va a poder encontrar el dinero para decomisionar, retirar la escalera de escape, como ha indicado la Junta, si vienen ellos con la decisión y deciden que deben de decomisionar o retirar la escalera de escape? ¿Cómo es que ella va a encontrar el dinero para hacer eso?
The city is prepared to offer a temporary fix of maybe adding additional fire protection devices.
La ciudad está dispuesta a dar un arreglo temporario de añadir equipo, fire protection devices, did you say?
Protection devices, yes.
Equipos de protección de fuego,
In lieu of a decision of either repairing or replacing.
en vista de una decisión de parar o reemplazar.
I've done the quick math.
Yo he hecho la matemática rápida.
She's owned the property for 11 years.
Ella ya está en la propiedad 11 años.
Every 5 years, the fire escape should have been inspected.
Cada 5 años la escalera de escape debe haber sido inspeccionada.
Let's go with the price of $689 every 5 years for repairs, if needed.
Vamos con el precio de $689 cada 5 años para repararlo si es que lo necesita.
That works out to roughly $137.80 a year.
Eso es básicamente $137.89 que
Or
al año.
$11.48 a month.
U $11.48 al mes.
So I don't see the hardship.
Así que yo no veo la dificultad.
Mr. Foster,
Señor Foster,
Yes, board. Yes,
Sí,
Mr.
Junta.
Parsons.
our
Sí, señor
understanding is
Parsons.
that $600 was the cost that she spent to have it inspected.
Nuestro entendimiento es que los $600 es el costo que ella tuvo que pagar por haberla inspeccionado.
Okay, I do see that inspection fee. Did she
Yeah.
provide, did the owner provide, because I don't have that information, did the owner provide the board and the application with the repair estimate? Or
Ya veo esa cantidad. Ella le dio, la dueña le dio el costo de reparo a la Junta.
I suspect it because the engineer would have to probably looking at the fire escape, it would probably, in order to get a stamp and approval, would have to be substantially reconstructed.
Okay.
I suspect that's why the $16,000 cost is.
Sospecho que sí, porque el ingeniero tuviera que haber mirado. Pardon, the interpreter needs a repetition, please. The engineer would have had to have
For the reconstruction or repair to meet engineering standards,
el ingeniero tuviese que haber investigado para que reuniera, para estar conforme con las reglas de inspección e ingeniería, con esas normas.
would require the $16,000 to substantially repair or replace.
Que requerirían los $16,000 para el reparo sustancial del sitio.
So my understanding is that based on the need of the fire escape,
Así que mi entendimiento es que basado en la necesidad de la escalera de escape,
it is unsafe. So with an unsafe structure, it needs to be repaired, replaced, or removed. Those are the options. I don't think,
entonces es que la escalera como no está segura, entonces mi opinión es lo mejor es que tenga que ser reparado, reemplazado o retirado. Esa es la mejor opción.
the board would not, speaking for myself, I would not want to see an unsafe fire escape remain on the building.
Hablando por sí mismo y la Junta, y hablando por sí mismo, la Junta no quisiera ver una escalera de escape que no esté segura.
it would not only be a hazard to the occupants,
No solo sería un peligro a los ocupantes,
but it could be a hazard to would-be rescuers who might climb the fire escape to assist people.
pero podría
getting out of the
ser
building.
también, pero podría también ser un peligro para los ayudantes que fuesen a salvar, a ayudar a gentes que tendrían que escapar un fuego mientras ellos asistieran.
Parsons, I agree with you.
Estoy de acuerdo con usted.
That's all I have to say. I agree with you.
Es solo lo que tengo que decir. Estoy de acuerdo con usted.
Mr. Foster, the applicant's alternative was to put folding ladders inside the house that would deploy out the window so people could climb down a rescue ladder.
La alternativa de la peticionante era que ella podría poner escaleras que se doblaran de adentro, que entonces pudieran pasar hacia afuera.
And under the multiple residence law, that would not be permitted. It's not permitted in the building code also as an exception to
Y además,
putting
por
a third
la ley de,
fire escape.
por la ley de múltiples residentes, eso no es permitido. Además, por la cantidad de personas que, en el sitio, entonces no es permitido por los códigos del edificio.
Mr. Parsons, that is correct. The city is not in favor of the owner, as per her application statement, to substitute a working fire escape for ladders. That is correct.
Señor Proces, eso es correcto. La dueña no está permitida a reemplazar un escape, una escalera de escape con unas escaleras doblantes. Eso es correcto.
The city is in favor of your suggestion
La ciudad está a favor de su sugestión, de su sugerencia,
of replace, repair, or decommission
para reemplazar. Está de acuerdo en reemplazar, reparar o retirar para decomisionar.
if the decision of the board is to decommission, then the city of Utica
Si la decisión de la Junta es decomisionar, entonces la ciudad de Utica
would advise the owner to immediately, upon decision, vacate the third floor.
le aconsejaría al dueño que inmediatamente después de la decisión tomada, que entonces vacíe el tercer piso.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Does the applicant have any more comments regarding the fire department statements?
La solicitante tiene alguna pregunta o algunos comentarios después de la presentación o los comentarios del Departamento de Fuego.
Sí, que sí voy a tener
I'm on the
que
meeting. Are you done?
desalojar el tercer piso, que me den, aunque sea unos días, para poder sacar la cosa que el hijo mío tiene ahí. Y
Is that
que,
if I have to vacate the third floor, to give me a few days so that I can take out the things that my son has there. ¿Y qué?
Okay, one last question.
Okay,
Chief
una última
Foster,
pregunta.
Chief Foster,
Jefe,
does the city of Utica have any housing assistance programs that might be able to help with the cost of repairing this fire escape?
una pregunta más al Chief Foster. ¿Saben si la asistencia de viviendas tiene algún programa que le pueda ayudar con el costo de poder reparar o reemplazar escalera de escape?
no, porque eso es lo que yo siempre he tratado de hacer, a ver si yo puedo buscar una forma de que me puedan ayudar para repararla. Pero
No, because I've always tried to do that, to find out if there's a way to be able to get some help so that I can be able to repair it.
pero yo no sé de nada de que me puedan ayudar, yo no sé de nada.
Susie, that question is directed to me.
Yes, Mr.
Oh,
Foster.
the interpreter knows that, but she started talking, so I'm just interpreting.
Okay, so
Esa pregunta era dirigida al señor Foster, no a usted.
Ay, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, Mr. Parsons, the answer to that directly is no, the city does not. But there are other, um, there's other information and avenues that have could have directed the owner to see if she could have procured funding to either repair, replace, or demolish, if you will, the fire escape. Not saying it's a guarantee, but currently the city does not have a bona fide program to assist residents at this time.
Okay.
Entonces, no, la ciudad no tiene ninguna información o avenidas de que puedan dirigir a la dueña a conseguir algunos fondos para poder reparar. En este momento, the last part of Mr. Foster, the last part of your sentence about after secure funding.
That the city does not have a bona fide program to assist with fire escape, repair, replacement, or demolish.
La ciudad no tiene ningún programa de fondos de buena fe que puede reparar, retirar o remover los escapes la escalera de escape en este momento.
Okay, is there anybody else who would like to speak in regards to this petition?
Ok, ¿hay alguien más que quisiera hablar sobre esta petición?
No, porque yo vivo nada más con mi mamá. Yo no tengo yo estoy separada del esposo mío.
No, because I just live with my mother. I'm separated from my
Y los
husband.
hijos míos que están viviendo en el segundo y en el tercero que tiene una habitación.
And my sons that are living in the second floor and the third that has one room.
Okay.
Okay.
We will now go into recess for deliberation. We will be back in about 15 minutes.
Nos permitiremos un receso para la deliberación y volveremos en 15 minutos.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Gracias.
Good.
Case.
Como ahora estamos en las actas de nuevo, esta audiencia está siendo grabada.
We're back on the record.
Okay,
Estamos de nuevo en las actas.
we're coming out of recess and we're going back into our decision making for petition number 2022-0485, petitioner Mary Lou Fanas.
Vamos de nuevo a las actas y ya estamos saliendo de la deliberación y volvamos a referirnos al caso de 2022-0485 de Marilu Fanas.
And Mr. Garlock will make the motion.
El señor Garla hará la petición.
With respect to the petition of Marilu Fanas, petition number 2022-0485,
Con respecto a la petición de Marilu Fanas, el 2022-0485,
the petition pertains to a variance seeking relief to decommission a required existing fire escape
la petición es que de Marilu Fanas que busca ayuda o pide alivio o ayuda a retirar decomisionar una escalera de escape de fuegos
to an existing third floor attic apartment.
de un apartamento de tercer piso, de un apartamento de un ático.
The subject building is a 3-unit apartment building
El edificio en sujeto es una unidad de una unidad de apartamentos de 3 pisos.
construction type 5B, unprotected combustible wood frame construction. 3 stories in height,
Este tipo 5B es un tipo 5, la edificación es de 5B. There's a lot of noise. La edificación es de 5B, no protegida, combustible, de estructura de madera.
located at 1604 Howard Avenue, County of Oneida, New York State.
1604 Harvard Avenue, did you say?
Howard Avenue,
Howard. And what is the rest, please?
County of Oneida, New York State.
Thank you. Es en el 1604 de Howard Avenue, en el condado de Oneida, en Nueva York.
The public notice was published in the New York State Register's September 21st, 2022 issue.
Pardon, I'm having trouble here. This is the
Excuse me,
interpreter speaking. I'm having
Yes.
trouble hearing. Somebody's got something going on in the background that's making it very difficult to hear.
There's children in the background.
Can they silence their phones or their computer equipment or whatever they're using, please?
Can you ask Mary Lou if she has children in the background?
Thank you. Señora Marilu, ¿usted tiene algunos niños ahí la habitación? ¿En la habitación hay algunos niños o algo? ¿Hay algún ruido que está
Oh, sí, tengo mi nieto aquí. Págale eso, págale eso.
Yes, I have my grandchildren here, my grandkid. Yes, turn that off, please. Turn that off.
Yes, that's what it is because everybody else is muted.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Mhm.
Llévalo para el cuarto.
Take him to the bedroom. The interpreter needs a repetition of the last sentence, please.
The public notice was published in the New York State Register's September 21st, 2022 issue.
La notificación pública fue publicada en la sección del 21 de septiembre del 2022.
The petitioner is seeking relief from Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York State,
La peticionada, la solicitante está pidiendo ayuda de la ley 61B de las leyes de what laws, please?
what's that?
What laws? 61B of what laws?
61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York State.
Thank you. De las leyes consolidadas, 61B de las leyes consolidadas del Estado de Nueva York.
Multiple Residence Law, Article 3, Section 26.
Ley de residentes múltiples, artículo 3, subdivisión, subsection 1.
26,
Thank you. Subsection 26.
which states that in every such dwelling, 3 stories or more in height,
Que indica que en cada local
there shall
deben
be,
de,
there shall be from each story at least 2 independent means of egress,
en cada piso debe tener 2 salidas independientes,
accessible to each apartment or suite.
accesibles a cada apartamento
The first means
o suite.
shall open into a public hall connected with a stair,
La primera debe estar conectada, abierta, dirigida hacia un pasillo y conectada a una escalera,
affording safe access to a street or to a yard, court,
ah,
or passage,
pudiendo dar salida segura a un pasillo o a la calle,
affording continuous, safe, and unobstructed access to a street.
dándole continuo acceso a la calle, acceso asegurado a la calle.
The second means shall be directly to a fire escape,
La segunda debe ser dirigida directamente a un escape de fuegos
or to an enclosed stair without passing through the first means.
o a una escalera ya encerrada, pero sin pasar la primera opción.
Except that where the first means includes an interior stair,
Except that the first means what?
includes an interior stair,
Excepto que en la primera medida incluye una escalera interior,
which is closed off at each floor level
que esté cerrada en todos los niveles de los pisos,
by fire retardant construction with a fireproof self-closing door therein.
con construcción a prueba a fuegos y con fire retardant construction and
With a fireproof self-closing door therein.
con una puerta de prueba a fuegos.
The second means may be another such interior stair or a fire escape
La segunda salida puede ser una otra escalera interior con una forma de escape de escalera para afuera,
directly accessible on the same story from a public hall therein.
directamente accesible a un pasillo en el cual están.
Whether or not such public hall is also part of the first means provided.
Sí o no, ese pasillo público es proveído por la primera salida.
Such fire escape is not a wire, chain, cable, vertical ladder, or rope fire escape.
Would you repeat that, please, for the
Such fire escape is not a wire, chain, cable, vertical ladder, or rope fire.
Tal escape de fuego no puede ser o con un alambre, con una cadena o wire chain or
Wire, chain, cable, vertical ladder, or rope.
vertical ladder or what?
Or rope.
Rope, thank you. No puede tener cable, cables o verticales o no puede tener tampoco soga. No puede ser aguantado por cables, sogas verticales, ni cadenas, ni alambres.
In lieu of a second means of egress,
En vista de una segunda forma de salida,
a sprinkler system may be installed in the public halls and stairs.
un sistema de agua de sprinkler debe ser instalado en el segundo piso del pasillo.
The petitioner is seeking relief for a variance
La peticionada busca alivio o busca ayuda pidiendo una variación
to abandon in place an existing metal fire escape
para abandonar lo que está en lugar ya puesto, la escalera de escape de fuegos que está existente,
located at the rear of the three-story, three-unit apartment house,
localizado en la parte de atrás del local y del edificio de 3 apartamentos,
where the third floor attic apartment, second
donde
is the subject fire escape.
donde el apartamento del tercer piso en el ático y el escape de fuegos es el del cual estamos hablando.
The board makes the following findings.
La Junta toma los siguientes hallazgos.
Number one, subject petition pertains to a required existing fire escape.
Pardon?
Number one, subject petition pertains to a required existing fire escape.
Número 1, la petición sujeta requiere una existente escalera de escape de fuegos
To an existing third floor attic apartment.
a un apartamento existente de un tercer piso en el ático.
The subject building is a three-unit apartment building
El edificio sujeto es un edificio de 3 pisos, una unidad de apartamentos de 3 pisos,
located at 1604 Howard Avenue,
localizado en el 1604 de Howard Avenue,
County of Oneida, New York.
el condado de Oneida en Nueva York.
Number 2, the building subject to the petition is correctly classified
Número 2, el edificio sujeto está, pardon, I couldn't understand that with the
Number
noise. I
2,
apologize.
Number 2, the building subject to the petition is correctly classified
El edificio sujeto a la petición es en el presente clasificado.
per 19 NY CRR Part 1221.
19, el tercero, 19 NYC RR 2201.
Section 602.5
Sección 602.5.
as a wood frame, unprotected, combustible construction.
Como una construcción de estructura de madera incombustible.
Number 3, the building subject to the petition is correctly classified per 19
Número 3.
NY CRR
Número 3, el edificio en sujeto es clasificado por la siguiente y conforme a la 19 NYC RR.
Part 1221,
Parte 1221.
Section 310.3, residential group R2 apartment house.
Residential group what?
Group R2 apartment house.
Pardon, residential group what?
R2,
R2. Thank you. Es siguiente a la sección 3310.3, grupo residencial R2.
Number 4, the petitioner
Número-
has submitted fire escape inspection
La número 4, la peticionada ha sometido una inspección de la escalera de escalera de escape de fuegos,
which failed certification and proposed to supply emergency egress ladders
Excuse me, this is Maureen, the reporter. Susie, could you ask Mary Lou to put herself on mute?
Thank you. Marilu, por favor, desactive el sonido de su equipo, por favor.
Desactiva.
Great. May I have a repetition of the last sentence because of the noise in the background? I couldn't hear
which
some
failed,
parts.
which failed certification and proposed which failed
Que falló la-
certification
que falló la certificación en propuesta de
and proposed to supply emergency egress ladders
y en propuesta de poder obtener una escalera de emergencia
and or a fire alarm system in lieu of
Y-
repairing the fire escape.
y o un sistema de alarme en vez de, en lieu of,
Repairing the fire escape.
en vez de reparar el escape, la escalera de escape. Thank you.
Number 5,
Número 5.
the fire alarm system is required meeting 907.2.9.1.
El sistema de fuego debe ser conforme a la 907.2.2.9.1.
A manual fire alarm system that activates the occupant notification system
El sistema de alarma manual debe ser conforme al sistema
in accordance with section 907.5
de acuerdo y conforme a la sección 907.5.
shall be installed in group R2 occupancies
Debe ser instalado en los sitios R2 de ocupación,
where any of the following conditions apply.
donde las siguientes condiciones pueden aplicar.
1, any dwelling unit or sleeping unit
Uno, que cualquier local donde es de vivienda y donde es para dormir
is located 3 or more stories above the lowest level of exit discharge.
tiene que ser 3 o más pisos después encima del 3 or more stories. Pardon, I didn't understand that. The interpreter didn't understand that. 3 or more stories to what?
3 or more stories above the lowest level of exit discharge.
Thank you. Tienen que estar 3 o más niveles arriba del el nivel más bajo de la salida.
Number 6, the local
Número
code
seis.
official
Número 6, el código oficial
has
local
been consulted in this matter
ha sido consultado en este asunto
and does not support the granting of this variance under Part 1205.
y no apoya otorgar esta variación bajo la sección 1205.
In view of the above findings, testimony, and documentation presented before it,
En vista de las decisiones y las declaraciones presentadas aquí,
the board denies the application for a variance for the petitioner.
la Junta niega el pedido de la variación
And therefore sustains the determination of the code enforcement official.
y determina entonces el código que tiene que seguir oficialmente.
Insufficient evidence has been provided to warrant a variance.
No hubo bastante prueba sometida para otorgar una variación.
And the granting of a variance would substantially adversely affect
Y el otorgar una variación le afectaría una gran cantidad
the uniform code's provisions for health, safety, or security.
y no conforme con con los códigos de seguridad.
I so move.
Entonces yo pongo esa petición.
And do I have a second?
Y yo también.
Ms. Swistek seconds. I'll poll the board. Mr. Hinderleiter?
Aye.
Señor Hinterleiter, de la Junta, yo
Swistek?
también. Señora Swistek,
Garlock?
yo también.
Aye.
Conrad, yo también.
The chair votes aye, 4 ayes, no nays.
La Junta vota 4 personas que han dicho sí,
And the variance is denied.
y entonces por tal razón la variación es negada.
This decision is limited
Esta decisión es limitada
to the specific building
a este edificio particular
and application before it
y la solicitud que está adelante
as contained within the petition
es contenida como está en la petición
and should not be interpreted to give implied approval of any general plans
y no debe ser interpretada como que han dado ninguna aprobación de ningunos planes futuros
or specifications presented in support of this application.
o especificaciones en apoyo de esta solicitud.
And this hearing is now concluded for this
Y
case.
esta audiencia entonces ha concluido en este caso.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Would you like to go off the record?
Quisiera estar fuera de las actas ahora.
No, we're going to go on to our next case.
Continuaremos con el
Parsons?
próximo caso.
I'd like to go off for just 1 minute, please.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
Hearing. The second hearing is the matter of Holy Smoke Stony Creek LLC, petition number 2022-049. This
Okay.
case-
I'm not on the record yet. Would you like to go on the record?
Sure, yes, please.
We're on the record.
We're now going to hear our second case. This hearing is in the matter of Holy Smoke Stony Creek LLC, petition number 2022-049. This case has been continued from our December hearing. The board has received additional information in this case, and we also have a representative of the applicant before us. And so, Ed, and you have some more additions, things you want to present.
My name is William Pitcher. My address is 124 Fiegel Avenue, Syracuse, New York, 13203. I'm representing the owners. The applicant has two requests for variances. One is to omit the sprinkler system required by a Group A2 building.
I'm
in the
sorry,
second-
this is Maureen, the reporter. I'm interrupting. I don't see who's speaking at all.
No, you can't.
He's behind the camera.
Okay, I'm sorry, what is your name?
William Pitcher, Pitcher.
Thank you.
Let's see. Now, this particular building has not received a C of O. It is still under the original building permit. And so there are issues related to the variance that we're asking for, and there are also issues of documentation with the local building permit. And I'll try to stick just to the variance issues.
Okay, one other item. There were also, as our last hearing was, there issues. There was construction performed, been inspected or approved that needed local code enforcement official. Those included fire alarm system, installation of the heating system, the addition of the fireplace, neither of which had plans submitted, nor was it inspected to know if it was properly installed. So there's those additional matters that.
Okay. The heating information, I received an email yesterday about the calculations, and that has been forwarded to the local code official. The fire alarm, there is a final inspection on the fire alarm system. It's up and operating. That's been submitted to the local official. And the fireplace, the manufacturer's cut sheets have been submitted to the local official. So I believe those three items are taken care of. Regarding the other issues, I'm not quite sure which items need inspection.
Well,
So,
here's from the notes from the code enforcement official, garnered from our previous hearing and notes since then, is that which portion of the building was completed without inspection, including the installation of the fireplace. You know whether it's properly installed. Rough-in inspection was, our understanding was the same thing.
Mr. Parsons, you're cutting out a little bit.
Okay, so there was no inspections of the fireplace, heating system, and the fire alarm system. These things were all installed before documentation was supplied to the code enforcement official. I thought we had communicated clearly at our last hearing that between that hearing and this hearing, which was at least 2 months, pushing up on, 2 months, that these items would be addressed. That's where the gap is here.
we'll have to talk to the owner and the code official on that.
Okay.
My belief is that it is in the process, that they have received documents and it's ready for inspection.
Okay.
Now, in the packet, I provided you with the original building permit drawings by Meyer Engineer. My drawings are a documentation of where the building is at the present time. And what we want to do is go through in terms of the variance. If you look at drawing A1 of my drawings, we have the occupancy calculation for the building of 399 persons. On detail 3A1, we have we have required 2 exits plus 2 additional exits. There are now 4 exits out of the main dining room. The exiting distances are 40 feet from the very center of the building to any one of the 4 exits, and to the other exits, we're at 61 feet. I'm on page 3 of my write-up. Now, on detail 4, we did the area calculation for the A2, and the permitted increase because of the 4 sides of access is 10,500 square feet. The actual gross square footage of the existing building is 8,200 square feet. So it complies as a non-separated building under A2 for all uses in the building. So we're compliant there, and we are smaller than the existing, the maximum requirement. On the flame spread, we have Class B is required for A2 spaces and Class A for the exit passage. So A2 is the dining room, and the immunotestant coating, the manufacturer's documentation says that it provides Class B flame and smoke. The exit passage, which goes between the 2 storerooms to outdoors, that's just painted drywall. So that complies with the Class A smoke and flame. In 8, detail 6 on A1, the sprinklers are required for group A2 where more than 5,000 square feet and more than 100 occupants. We are over that. We asked the variance due to the excessive cost of complying with it. In lieu of the sprinkler system, we are proposing the fire alarm system, and that has been installed, and the contractor has issued the final inspection report on the installation to the code official. And we would argue that the smoke detector is more sensitive and quicker response than the sprinkler system would be. And adding the sprinkler system would provide no further notification, no more faster, quicker, safer notification than the fire alarm system. And then the last detail, 9 on A1, there was mention by the code official for the smoke barriers in the attic, and that we only need 1 smoke barrier to divide the attic. And that's that little diagram.
Just to interrupt,
that hasn't been installed yet, to my knowledge.
Are there heat detectors in attic space?
That I don't know. Now, the other issues we had also, you were looking for emergency lighting, and that's shown on the drawings on A2. The fire extinguishers locations are shown on A2. The exit signs are shown on A2. The firefighting water source that you were concerned about, that's the creek, that's out the south door. It's about 50 feet away from the building itself. We have also a letter from the local fire chief supporting the variance for eliminating the sprinkler system. I believe that covers all of the, on A5 of my drawings, there was a question by the local code official about the fire lane access. And so basically this is a schematic pending the actual survey. We don't have actual dimensions yet for the parking lot, but that is something that the local code official was looking for that's not part of the variance. So we can provide the fire lane access.
Mr. Pitcher, when was your? That recently?
My inspection was on the 22nd of December,
Okay.
and then I've been adding to the drawings when things are reported to me that they're completed.
Do you have any board members?
I have seen
Sorry,
and
the
touched,
audio, this is
but I did
Maureen.
not inspect.
Sorry. I'm sorry. If Gail spoke, I could not hear what she asked. Please repeat. Yeah. I'm sorry, the audio's terrible with, right now with the four of you.
Are you there, Magdalena? I see you, yes.
Yes, I'm here, but I couldn't hear the question.
Has the fireplace been inspected by the code official?
Yes, we had the fire officials at the building last Thursday. They did the whole walk through the building. They also performed a test on the front door that the board was asking about the sizes, so we did that test.
Any more questions? Sure.
I see in pictures that there appears to be still exposed bottom cords on the trusses in the storage room, utility room. When are they going to be affected?
Well, that is 5B construction.
If I may interrupt, that storage area actually is already sheet-drugged and insulated, and the inspector was here a couple days ago, and they checked that. For the heating units as well, I just got the sizing paperwork yesterday, and I reached out to the installers because I don't know how to read those papers. And I talked to the installer this morning, and he said that the units that we have produce more than required. And I can provide the specifications. I just need a little more time.
Okay. Garland?
Mr. Parsons, I couldn't
Yes.
understand what you said.
Mr. Garlick, I just asked if you had any questions.
No.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're all set with the picture. Representative from the local code enforcement.
Hi, this is Dave Gorman,
Mr.
Shenango
Gorman.
County Code Enforcement, 5 Court Street, Shenango, Norwich, New York, 13815. I'm also here with Ian Oldham.
So where do you stand as far as inspections, approvals on this project?
Hi, this is Ian Oldham, Building Inspector, Shenango County Code Enforcement.
I'm sorry, who's speaking right now?
Ian Oldham, IAN OLDHAM. building inspector for Shenango County.
Okay, Mr. Golden, you go ahead.
Yeah, the fire alarm has been installed and inspected. That's fine. The storage areas there, they have been sheetrocked, need to be mudded and taped. There is vinyl siding applied on the inside, which needs to be addressed.
What areas where is vinyl siding installed that needs to be replaced?
It's on the interior wall,
All the walls or just some of the walls?
a large portion of the walls, and around the fireplace area.
Mr. Pitcher, are you aware of that? Why don't you come forward so.
I received from the owner, they've been looking for somebody to do the fire test on the existing incandescent coating. No one in New York State does that. There are no people that do it, no firms. Basically, one firm wanted a 25-foot by 2-foot section of the wall to do the burn test on to determine if the coating was efficient. So we haven't been able to come up with that particular question. In the process of going through that, they found a new incandescent coating, which is rated for plastic. So the question at hand is if the new incandescent coating provides the sufficient protection of the plastic decoration on the inside from the foam insulation behind it.
Okay. All right, Mr. Olden, you can continue with your comments.
A test was done on the oversized doors, and that fell within the 5-pound range. The door on the east wall by the fireplace has been installed. The fireplace, we need to actually have a look and see the venting to corroborate that meets the manufacturer's installation instructions.
And you have not been provided that information?
We have been provided the manufacturer's installation instructions, but have not had access to the vented area.
Okay. That was something we asked at the December meeting, that be inspected and verified it was properly installed. So sounds like that hasn't been completed. Is that correct?
If I may, in December, we had David Gorman and Stephen Fox at the building, and I know Stephen Fox, the inspector, looked at the fireplace on the outside and on the inside. I don't know if that was sufficient information for him to inspect it.
Mr. Gorman, can you corroborate that statement?
I cannot. I'll have to verify that with Mr. Fox.
Okay, there were some notes.
I think Steve's online, actually.
Okay, Mr. Fox, if you're there, go ahead and speak to it.
Yes, sir. I'm here, Steve Fox, Shenango County Code Enforcement Building Inspector. I did do a walkthrough inspection of this, and that fireplace is an inserted fireplace, so there was no way of telling whether it was installed properly or not. without pulling it out. After I reviewed the documents that I'd found online for the installation inspection, there's two different ways of installing this said unit. One of them being a cold wall installation process. And in order to verify that's how it was installed, we'd have to pull the unit out. That has not been done. So cold wall installation allows it to have zero clearance, which it has right now. The vinyl siding in question is right tight to the fireplace, but we don't know whether it was a cold wall install or a normal install.
Thank you.
Or-
Okay. Questions from board members? Ms. Swisak, do you have any questions? Parties? Mr. Leiter, do you have any questions? Mr. Garlock? Speaking for myself, I'm disappointed that these issues that we spoke of months ago, starting in September and, in October, and then in December, we're no farther, it feels like we're no farther along than we were back then. Reluctant to extend this any farther. I'll go around the room. Does the owners, do you have any statements would you like to make before we make a decision?
Yes, we just would like the board, the code enforcement, just make us a list. Like, I think we did the generator has been installed. We have that done. We have fire alarm system done. We had exit doors done. We have insulation and sheetracking done. The plastic vinyl, we have the coating. I found the coating. We have no issues with getting that and apply it. We can have inspectors being present while that being applied. The only really thing that we failed is to test the wood. Like I said, I've been researching, doing calls. I found a company in Virginia. They want 50 square feet of materials being shipped over there, and they're gonna do a tunnel test on that. If this is the requirement in order to get the variance, we will do this. We will take the walls down and we will ship the materials for testing. When it comes to the fireplace, we have no issues with taking the unit out to be inspected. So, yeah, we didn't really know about that. That's, and the inspectors were there, they checked everything. We didn't really hear anything from them that something else needs to be done or something is wrong. So we just need guidance. We need a list of things that the board and the code enforcement wants us to do, and we will fully cooperate.
Mr. Fox, you have your hand raised.
Yes, sir. I'd just like to add that with that vinyl siding, there was a number of emails with me communicating with the Tarpinians, asking for which product that they used for intumescent paint. And I'd asked them a couple of times to send me a picture to verify the picture of the paint can itself to verify what they'd used. And all I ever received from them was the manufacturer's link to the manufacturer's website. So there's no way of knowing what's on those walls as far as intumescent paint.
But the paint, I sent the pictures of the buckets. It was either to David Gordon, I believe I linked Stephen, you as well to those emails, but I did send pictures of the buckets of the paint that we applied.
We did receive those pictures.
Thank you, David.
Mr. Pitcher, you have anything?
Would an invoice for the purchase of the materials, the intumescent, be sufficient proof of the product?
No.
So the issue that we highlighted was we have manufacturer specifications. So who either from code enforcement or third party or the manufacturer is certifying that that coating has been done to manufacturer inspections, specifications.
I have sent
Sorry,
an
who
email.
was just talking? I'm sorry, who was
That
talking?
was Jeffrey Hinderleiter.
Thank you.
I did send a letter from the construction company that they were applying that paint on our walls. It was Oren Construction letter. I did attach it and I sent it to Thomas DeTolio. I don't know if you guys got that letter. It's a general construction company. They did a lot of work on our building. So since I couldn't do the test, I asked for the statement from them. And they are more than happy to talk to you to confirm that it's been done.
So, I mean, speaking for myself, I can't speak for the rest of the board. It's a little frustrating that we're 5 months almost in to this process. And early on, we stressed the need for better communication between codes and the property owner. And I mean, even on this, we find that one code officer received it, the other says they didn't get any. And, you know, it's pretty frustrating on this side because we're not the ones who have authority, having jurisdiction, who are in that building looking at these things. You know, we made it clear the concerns around the fireplace and that nobody stepped up to get that unit removed to verify the manufacturer specifications were met. Hearing that information, you know, emails were coming out, you know, a week before this hearing, and with information still coming in. I remember at our last meeting in December, we stated the information really had to be to the board by the end of January. And so it's, you know, on speaking for myself, it's a little frustrating that we're at this and what's being asked is more time when, you know, we have had 5 months almost of this, and, you know, just being transparent with everyone involved, to ask the board to give more time to give lists. We've given these things, and it's pretty frustrating.
I apologize. We're really trying our best.
Does anybody else in the audience have anything to say regarding this petition?
I'd like to ask the board a question.
Mr. Pitcher?
If the immunosuppressant coating cannot be verified, is not acceptable, would the alternative be to remove the wood materials and the plastic siding and install drywall over the foam insulation of the ICFs?
Any code compliant method would be acceptable, obviously acceptable. This came.
Mr. Garlock that was speaking before you,
No,
Mr. Parsons?
That was Mr. Parsons.
No, before that, before you.
That was Mr. Hinderleiter. Oh, Mr. Pitcher, I'm sorry, Mr. Pitcher.
Thank you.
Also, would be possible to reapply the coding, having code officers present while we do it?
That's really up to the code enforcement officials. We're not going to make that decision for them. I think we're at a point where we've given ample time to, you know, address our concerns and questions. Originally, I think you came to the board requesting a variance on the sprinkler system. Now I think you're asking for relief from the fire rating of the interior wall surfaces, and which is an additional ask. In my opinion, sitting here, we're going backwards, not forwards. And partly, I think this is because work has been done without proper documentation and permitting and approval of the plans and specifications for the construction of this building. And I'm not sure where everything has been dropped or what we're trying to pick up, but I'm ready to make a decision. So So before we go into deliberation, I want to give everybody a chance to speak. More time. Code enforcement official, Mr. Gorman, do you have anything further to say?
Nope, I don't have anything further to add.
Mr. Fox, do you have anything further?
No, sir.
Mr. Olden, do you have anything further to say?
No, sir.
Mr. Pitcher, do you have anything further to say? Okay. And do the owners have anything further to say?
Oh.
Okay. With that,
If I may, if there is, yeah, we kind of see where it goes. We're not gonna get the variance. I'm just gonna want to let you know that we have a lien against the house if we cannot, and the sprinkler system is $300,000. Are there any funds, anything that the state, the county can help us? At this point, the bank will not give us any more loans. We maxed everything. The house is on the line. So if we can get any help, any assistance, we would really appreciate it.
okay. Thank you for the information. Further? Okay, with that, we're going to adjourn, excuse me, we're going to go into recess for deliberation. We can go off the record.
We're on the record.
Thank you. We're out of our recess from deliberation. We'll now continue on with petition number 2022-0490. Applicant is William Pitcher of William Pitcher Architect PLLC regarding a property located at 438 County Route 22, Town of Smyrna, County of Shenango. Before I ask for a motion, just one point clarification. The code enforcement official who's in charge, do you have a statement regarding your support or non-support of the variance application?
If we could get the walls fixed, the vinyl siding issue covered, and get that fireplace inspected, we could see our way to a variance on the sprinkler system.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Hinderleiter, do you have a motion for us?
The petition submitted by William Pitcher of William Pitcher Architect PLLC, 124 Beagle Avenue, Syracuse, New York, pertains to a request for a variance concerning Holy Smoke Stony Creek, a wedding banquet facility approximately 8,250 square feet, construction type 5B, 1 story in height, known as Stone Creek Castle, located at 438 County Route 22, Town of Smyrna, County of Shenango, New York State. The public notice was published in the New York State Register's December 7, 2022 issue. The petitioner is seeking relief from 19 NYCRR Part 1221, the Building Code, Section 903.2.2.2, which states that an automatic sprinkler system shall be provided throughout stories containing Group A2 occupancies and throughout all stories from the Group A2 occupancy to and including the levels of exit discharge serving that occupancy where one of the following conditions exists. 1, the fire area exceeds 5,000 square feet. 2, the fire area has an occupant load of 100 or more. 3, fire area is located on a floor other than a level of exit discharge serving such occupancies. The petitioner is seeking relief for a variance to allow the petitioner to omit the required sprinkler system due to hardship and physically and economically install the system in a rural location. Variance from 19 NYCRR Part 1221, the Building Code, Section 907.2.1, which states in a Group A occupancy, a manual fire alarm system that activates the occupant notification system in accordance with Section 907.5 shall be installed in Group A occupancies where the occupant load due to the assembly occupancy is 300 or more, or where the Group A occupant load is more than 100 persons above or below the lowest level of exit discharge. The petitioner is seeking relief for a variance to allow the petitioner to modify the alarm system to a simple alarm system that has interconnected devices and detectors and does not require an alarm panel. 19, and variance from 19 NYCRR Part 1221, the Building Code, Section 803.13, which states that an interior wall and ceiling finish shall have a flame spread index not greater than that specified in Table 803.13 for the group and location designated. Interior wall and ceiling finish material tested in accordance with NFPA 286 and meeting the acceptance criteria of Section 803.1.1.1 shall be permitted to be used where a Class A classification in accordance with ASTM E84 or UL 723 is required. The petitioner is seeking relief for a variance to allow the petitioner to apply an intumescent paint to cover all wood and plastic surfaces. The board makes the following findings of fact. 1. Subject petition pertains to Holy Smoke Stony Creek, a wedding banquet facility known as Stone Creek Castle, located at 438 County Route 22, Town of Smyrna, County of Shenango, New York State. 2. The building subject to the petition is correctly classified in Part 1221, Section 602.5 as unprotected combustible construction type 5B, 1 story in height, approximately 8,250 square feet. 3, the building subject to the petition occupancy is correctly classified per Part 1221, Section 303.3 as Assembly Group A2 occupancy, includes the assembly used as intended for food and or drink consumption, including but not limited to banquet halls. 4, the petitioner has requested that the required sprinkler system not be installed due to supply chain issues and material shortages. 5, the petitioner has requested that the required fire alarm system not be fully installed due to supply chain issues and material shortages. 6, the local code official has been consulted in this matter and does support the granting of some variance under Part 1205. So conclusions of law. In view of the above findings, the board denies the application for a variance to the petitioner from 19 NYCRR Part 1221, Section 803.13, and therefore sustains the determination of the code enforcement official. Insufficient evidence has been provided to warrant a variance, and the granting of a variance would substantially adversely affect the Uniform Code's provision for health and safety. Further, strict compliance with the code would entail practical difficulties, unnecessary hardship, and would otherwise be unwarranted because such would create an excessive and unreasonable economic burden, would be unnecessary in light of alternatives which, without a loss in the level of safety, achieve the intended objective of the code, and would entail a change so slight as to produce a negligible additional benefit consonant with the purpose of the code. Wherefore, it is determined that the application for a variance from 19 NYCRR Part 1221, Sections 903.2.2.2 and 907.2.1 be and is hereby proposed to be granted with the following conditions. 1, that code compliant detection shall be installed in all spaces, including but not limited to the attic space and storage rooms. 2, that 4 code compliant exits are installed, 1 located on each exterior wall of the building, and 3, that all other aspects of the codes of New York State are complied with. I so move.
We have a motion. Mr. Garlock. Mr. Leiter.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. 4 ayes, no nays. The variance for the interior surfaces has been denied. The variance for the sprinkler system is granted with the. This decision is limited to specific building and application report as contained within the petition and should not be interpreted to give implied approval of any general plans or specifications presented in support of this application. The hearing is now concluded. So I just want to make it very clear that you've gotten the variance on the sprinklers. However, the vinyl siding, I think the best course of action would be to go back to a drywall and appropriate paint to create the aesthetic that you're trying to achieve. Also, you have a door that is non-compliant. Picture, need to work with the applicants about taking that door to make it, giving it a 48.
Step right up there.
Okay, Mr. Pitcher's here, so he's understanding what we're giving him some direction. Code enforcement officials, are you still with us?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so the fire alarm system needs to include the attic spaces, so obviously probably not smoke, but maybe heat
Mr.
detectors.
Parsons, you're cutting out a little bit.
I'm sorry, I can't help the state's technology. So the fire alarm system needs to detect the entire space. The fireplace will need to be pulled out so it can be properly inspected. Mr. Gorman, you copied that?
I do.
And all other aspects of the code, which means fire department access, turnaround, all of those things need to comply with, and any other additional items that you need, electrical inspections, electrical work, heating systems, all of that need to be made sure that it's legal and compliant. That's all I have. This hearing is closed. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to take a break.
Thank you.
We're off the record.
Thank you. Okay, we're back in session after a brief recess. During recess, we determined there was an item missed on our previous determination. So I'm going to reopening the hearing in matter of petition number 2022-0490, petitioners Holy Smoke, Stony Creek, William Pitcher. Protect the applicant. Mr. Hinterleiter, do you have a amended motion?
The amended motion revises the conclusion of law. In view of the above findings, the board denies the application for a variance for the petitioner from 19 NYCRR Part 1221, Section 803.13, and Section 907.2.1, and therefore sustains the determination of the code enforcement official. Insufficient evidence has been provided to warrant a variance, and the granting of a variance would substantially adversely affect the Uniform Code's provisions for health, safety, and security. With respect to Section 903.2.2.2, strict compliance with the code would entail practical difficulties, unnecessary hardship, and would otherwise be unwarranted because such would create an excessive and unreasonable economic burden, would be unnecessary in light of alternatives which, without a loss in the level of safety, achieve the intended objective of the code, would entail a change so slight as to produce a negligible additional benefit consonant with the purpose of the code. Wherefore, it is determined that the application for a variance from 19 NYCRR Part 1221, Section 903.2.2.2 be and is hereby proposed to be granted with the following conditions. 1, that code compliant detection shall be installed in all spaces, including but not limited to the attic space and storage room. 2, that 4 code compliant exits are installed, 1 located on each exterior wall of the building, and 3, that all other aspects of the code in New York State are complied with. I so move.
Under previous determination, we have second. Garlock, second. Full board. Okay. Garlock, Hinterleiter.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. 4 ayes, nay. The amendment is approved. Again, this decision is limited to the specific building and application before it, as contained within the petition, not be interpreted to give implied approval or any general plans or specifications presented in support of this application. In this petition hearing,
Mr. Parsons, I'm sorry, but you're cutting out. I don't know if you can move a little bit closer because when Mr. Hinterleiter speaks, I can hear him clear.
yeah, pointed at me. I just read the standard, we're done.
Okay.
The hearing is now concluded. All right. Next, we're going to hear next petition in the matter of petition number 2023-021, petition of John Armitage for a variance to Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York. And I would like to make the following motion. Upon the application of John Armitage, 115 Floyd Avenue, Utica, New York, filed pursuant to 19 NYCRR 1205 on January 17, 2023, and upon all other papers in this matter, the department makes the following determination. Petitioner is seeking relief from Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York, the Multiple Residence Law. Petition pertains to an existing 3-unit apartment building, R2 multiple residence occupancy, 3 stories in height of type 5B combustible non-protected construction with a floor area of approximately 3,211 square feet total gross area, located at 2220 Highland Avenue, Village of Yorkville, County of Oneida, State of New York. Relief is requested from Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York, Multiple Residence Law, Article 3, Section 28, Stairs and Entrance Hall. In every such dwelling, 3 stories or more in height, wood wainscoting and other combustible materials on the wall and ceiling surfaces in all halls shall be removed. In lieu of such removal, a sprinkler system may be installed, or such wainscoting and the combustible surfaces may be treated or covered with surface fire retardant approved by the department. In such a dwelling, any entrance doors and every door opening into any entrance hall, stair hall, or other public hall connected wherein shall be self-closing. The fire inspection report states that the stair traversing from the building entry to the first floor, second floor, and attic third floor apartments have wood wainscot paneling attached to those stairway walls. Petition states that this is original element and removing the sheathing would diminish the historic character of the building. Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York State, Multiple Residence Law, Article 3, Section 20, cellar ceiling, which states that in every dwelling 3 stories more in height, the ceiling of the cellar or the lowest story, if there be no cellar, shall be fire retardant or be equipped with a sprinkler system, unless such ceiling was already been plastered to the satisfaction of the department. The fire inspection report states that the cellar ceiling is unfinished and lacks the required fireproofing or plaster finish. Petitioner states relief from the installing the barrier due to the extensive ductwork, plumbing lines, and electrical wiring fastened to the floor framing. Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York, Multiple Residence Law, Article 3, Section 31, inside cellar stairs, which requires that every stair leading to the cellar to a floor above in an old multiple dwelling shall be enclosed with fire retardant partitions and shall be equipped with fire retardant self-closing door located as the department may approve. The fire inspection report states that the rear cellar stairwell shall be fireproofed according to the code. The petitioner states that enclosing the stair would be physically impracticable due to the location of the equipment in the basement. In the finding of facts, 1, the building that is subject to the petition is properly classified under Section 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York, Multiple Residence Law, Article 1, Section 4, parentheses 33, as a multiple dwelling, and the building consists of 3 dwelling units. The building that's subject to the petition is a 2-story with habitable attic, wood framed, 2,282 square feet in area, with 1 apartment on the first floor and second floor and a habitable 3rd floor attic. Building was constructed in or about 1900 as a 3-unit apartment building. 3, the subject building is equipped to conform to the provisions of Article 3 of the Multiple Residence Law as provided in Section 25 in that it existed on July 1, 1952, or was converted to a multiple dwelling after July 1, 1952, and is not a hotel or similar dwelling subject to Article 4 of the Residence. The building is 3 stories in height, and there are 3 dwelling units in the building. 4, petitioner is seeking relief from the multiple residence law, section 28, 30, and 31 for the building as described above, and as noted in exhibits B, photographs, and D, Village of Yorkville's Building Department multiple residence inspection. The petitioner states in the narrative that the building is served by 2 exit stairwells, whereas Article 3, Section 26 requires 2 means of exit or egress from a 3-story multiple residence B of fire-resistant construction. 6, stairs have wood paneling and wood trim. Per Article 3, Section 28 prohibits the presence of wood and other combustible materials on the wall of entries and stairwell. 7, Exhibits A, the photographs, and Exhibit D, Utica Fire Department's multiple residence inspection report, notes that Article 3, Section 30, cellar ceiling, which states that in every dwelling 3 stories or more in height, the ceiling of the cellar or the lowest story of there be no cellar shall be fire retardant or be equipped with a sprinkler system, unless such ceiling is already been plastered to the satisfaction of the department. The petitioner contends that the presence of existing ducts, pipes, and wiring makes the application of gypsum board or plaster and lath ceiling physically impractical. 8, Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York Multiple Residence Law, Article 3, Section 31, inside cellar stairs, which requires that every stair leading from the cellar to the floor above all old multiple dwellings shall be enclosed with fire retardant partitions and shall be equipped with fire retardant self-closing door located as the department may approve. 9, the Village of Yorkville Code Department has responded in support the alternatives proposed with the granting of the variance. This variance will not substantially adversely affect the provisions for health, safety, and security. Wherefore, it is determined that the application for a variance of Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York Multiple Residence Law, Article 3, Sections 28, 30, and 31, be and is hereby proposed to be granted with the following conditions. 1, that at least 2 single-station smoke alarm devices be provided in the cellar. 2, that a single-station smoke alarm provided on each landing of the exit stairway. 3, that a single-station heat alarm be provided on the occupied side of one entrance door to the dwelling unit. 4, that all the above noted smoke and heat alarms shall be interconnected together and may be wireless interconnected devices. 5, that all wood paneling in the stairway, including the basement stairs, wood components be removed and replaced with non-combustible material or treated with fire retardant intumescent coating per manufacturer's instruction to obtain a 1-hour UL designated fire rated assembly and shall be maintained. 6, the basement door leading to the stairs shall be replaced with a C-label fire rated door with closure or apply intumescent paint to meet UL rating of 45-minute door with closing. 7, the interconnected electrically wired smoke and heat alarms with device located in the egress path consisting of common stairways, hallways, entrances, and the basement on each story connected to a fire alarm panel that notifies occupants and is transmitted to an approved supervising station shall be installed and maintained. This decision is limited to the specific building and application before it as contained within the petition and should not be interpreted to give implied approval of any general plans, specifications presented in support of this application. I have a second. Swistak seconds. Full board. Mr. Garlock, Mr. Hinderleiter.
Aye.
Ms. Swistak. Chair votes aye. 4 ayes and nays. The petition and variance. Okay. Now going to move forward with our next case, our last case. This petition number 2023-0054. The petition pertains to a variance seeking relief for a sports arena in which includes horse shows and go-kart racing events, construction type 5B, 1 story in height, approximately 21,480 square feet, located at 5041 County Route 32, Town of Norwich, County of Shenango, New York State. Public notice was published in the New York State Register February 5th, 2020. Petitioner is seeking relief from 19 NYCR Part 1221, the Building Code of New York, Section 903.2.1.4, which states that an automatic sprinkler system shall be provided throughout stories containing Group A4 occupancies and throughout all stories of the Group A4 occupancy 2, and including the levels of exit discharge serving the occupancy where one or the following exists. Fire area exceeds 12,000 square feet. The fire area has an occupant load of 300 persons. The fire area is located on a floor other than the level of exit discharge serving such occupancy. Petitioner is also seeking relief from 19 NYCR Part 1221, the Building Code of New York, Section 106.2.2, which states fire protection system shop drawings for fire protection system shall be submitted to indicate conformance with Chapter 9, any other applicable provisions of the Uniform Code and the construction document. Such shop drawings shall be approved prior to the start of system installation. Shop drawings shall contain all information as required under the reference installation standards of Chapter 9 and in any other applicable provisions of the Uniform Code. Petitioner seeking relief for a variance to not install the fire sprinklers. Reviewing here. Petitioner is also seeking relief from 19 NYCR Part 1221, the 2020 Building Code, Section 106.2.3, which states means of egress. Construction documents shall show in sufficient detail the location, construction size, and character of all portions of the means of egress, including the path of exit discharge to the public way, in compliance with the provisions of the Uniform Code. In other than occupancies in R2, R3, and I1, the construction document shall designate the number of occupants to accommodate on every floor and all rooms and spaces. Petitioner is seeking relief for a variance not to comply with the requirements of sports and reviewing here. Petitioner is seeking additional relief from 19 NYCR Part 1221 Building Code of New York, Section 106.6, which states site plan, construction documents submitted with the application for the building permit shall be accompanied by site plan showing the scale, size, and location of new construction, existing structures on site, distances of lot lines, and established street grades and proposed finished grades, and as applicable, flood hazard areas, floodways, and design for flood elevations, and shall be drawn in accordance with the accurate boundary survey line, and in case of demolition, the site plan shall also show construction to be demolished in location, size of existing structures that are to remain on the site or plot. The building official is authorized to waive or modify the requirements for the site plan where the application for building permit is for alteration, repair, or otherwise warranted. Petitioner is seeking relief from a variance not to comply with requirements of the section sports arena. And lastly, the petitioner is seeking relief from 19 NYCR Part 1221, the 2020 Building Code, Section 106.2.6, which states design flood elevations were designed.
Mr. Parsons, I'm sorry, but you cut out there.
Petitioner is seeking additional relief of 19 NYCR Part 1221, the 2020 Building Code, Section 106.2.6.1, which states design flood elevations. Where design flood elevations are not specific, they shall be established in accordance with Section 1612.3.1. petitioner is seeking an appeal or relief for a variance of flood design requirements because the FEMA indicates that the property is not in any floodplain, excuse me. Okay, so there we have summary of what's being sought. Do we have an applicant to speak?
Thank you, board. And I'm sorry, Mr. Parsons, you cut out there at the end. Are you?
Looking for applicant to speak on this matter, this petition?
Yes, board. Jared Mack, Levine, Golden, and Thompson on behalf of the petitioner, and I believe the owner of the property is also present. By way, first of all, I'd like to thank the board for putting this back on the at the back end of the calendar to accommodate us here today. By way of background, this building was initially constructed under the ag law as for the use of boarding and studying out horses. And the building was constructed, it was completed, it was opened, and for the past 6 years, the building was also used for riding lessons, horse shows, riding competitions, which draws in competitors from around the country, brings a lot of traffic and business into the area. My client can speak more to that effect. However, back in 2019, we were informed by code that there was a change in use of this building because of the horse shows and various events that were going on there. So for the past several years, per guidance from local code enforcement, my clients have gone through tremendous lengths to try to bring this building up to code enforcement standards. Through the installation, they've installed a fire pond next to the building. They've had an access road put in all around the building for use by emergency services in the event of a fire. They've also properly secured exit signs in the building, installed fire extinguishers in the building, had the entire building rewired for inspected and approved. They've spent somewhere between $60,000 and $100,000 already trying to meet code's requirements. And one issue that we ran into recently was the need for a fire suppression system, a sprinkler system on this property, and per code's instructions, my clients contacted companies from around the country regarding the installation of a sprinkler system that we were told was needed in this building. However, we've been told by every company that's been contacted that such a system cannot be installed in this building, which serves as a horse arena, because of the dust from the arena kicking up, triggering the system, spooking the horses. This is also an unheated building, which my understanding is also prevents the installation of this fire suppression system that's being sought. We've gone through every avenue of trying to get this building up to code, and we've tried to work with code every step of the way, but it seems like every step we take in the right direction, we're provided with 2 more steps that have to be taken and moving the goalposts to try to get this a COA for this building. And we're here today seeking a variance and an appeal due to this impasse that we've reached with code, in hopes to bring this matter to a resolution so that my clients can keep this business open and continue to bring these great events that they have in and host to the community. But like I said, we're at an impasse here. We've spent a substantial amount of money trying to bring this up to code standards, but are hitting roadblocks every step of the way, similar to the second hearing that was on the calendar. We've sought direction for years on what to do here, and we can't get any sense of direction from code to try to bring this to a resolution. We had initial plans that were revised and submitted, and those plans were denied, in large part due to the lack of a sprinkler system that we're being told can't be installed in this arena. I'll turn it over to my client, Tina Favorito, who's there now, to add any additional information that she might want to. And we've also got several participants on the call if there's any directed questions, and Tina can speak to who we have on the call with us if there's any questions that need to be posed to them.
Okay. State your name and your address.
I'm Tina Favorito. I live at 5004 County Road 32, Norwich, New York, 13815. And I'm just verifying that I have worked with code since 2019, trying to get information on what I need for this building. With very lack of communication, I ended up hiring an attorney because I felt maybe it was me, and have not gotten anywhere with them, and my attorney hasn't either. So I'm here to ask for help.
Do you have an architect?
I had an engineer, Gene Rude. I believe he's on the, I had everybody at our office today ready to be on at 9:30. I'm not sure how many people are still there, but I did hire Gene Rude. He went to the code enforcement office several times trying to seek information on what they needed to make this an A4 building. But I believe we're asking from a variance from an A4 to a lower building. And we just don't seek any information at all, Your Honor, to get through to this situation.
Okay. So first off, we can't get you a variance to the occupancy type. An A4 is an A4. It's a definition in New York State Code, which establishes what building is used for.
Okay.
Once you established it as a public occupancy, where people can be spectators, whether it's horse shows, go-kart races, or any other type of public event, it falls under this
A4.
Group A category, and they define it as A4. That's a definition which we can't change. Uses way.
Okay.
So question, when you originally constructed this building, you constructed it for horses to get up, it's part of a horse barn with it?
Yes, it's a horse arena with stalls on it.
Okay.
And I've always done for years, since 2004, I've been an LLC, and we just increased our business. And we've always done riding lessons, horse events, and boarding. And I also do breeding. I have brood mares in that building. So
it sounds like your previous use, excuse me for interrupting, was an agricultural building.
always.
Correct?
Mhm.
So what's been presented in your application, you're looking for relief to say it's still an agriculture building, but not a public building.
Well, I guess the way I understand it, after speaking with the attorneys and everything, that a public building, even if I give a riding lesson, is a public building. So I guess I need to go for a public code because,
Could be a business, not necessarily an assembly building. Business. So you may have had, you could fall under a B occupancy. This is kind of one of those areas where I think there's a little latitude on agriculture business, but agriculture is the business.
right,
So people raise horses themselves.
correct.
Teaching people to how to ride a horse kind of translates, but a lot of times that can change from time to time. Mr. DiTullio. Riding. Okay. Okay. Horse. Okay, so it's the horse show. All right, that's what I assumed where we were getting to. So it sounds like once you started doing events where you brought the public to watch, not just the parents or the family of whoever you were doing riding lessons for, but people to watch displays of horses, events that you may have, changes the use. So under New York State Code, when you change a use, you're required to submit a building permit for a change of use.
Correct.
And
that's what I've done.
And usually it requires design information or design professional being involved to determine an existing building's change of use to be compliant. Nowhere in any of the documents that I've seen from you a design professional analysis of the change of use of what the building would need to do to be compliant for an A4. That's one piece that's missing. And it's really, your engineer, I read the report, that's not sufficient. really requires an architect that really can understand the use of the existing building code to do these changes and make them. Now depending on use, building configuration, there's means by which you can use the code that may not require you, may not require you to, in order to get there, to design, do the analysis. They will tell you.
You're cutting out, Mr. Parsons.
Sorry. They will tell you what you need to do to bring the building in compliance, because you may not have to do all of what you've asked.
Okay.
But, and I'm sorry to say, I think but you shouldn't have had to come to us for me to tell you what you need to do. So,
Okay.
code enforcement official, and maybe they did, maybe.
They gave me a list of architects and engineers, and that's who I picked from, Eugene Rude.
Okay.
And that's, where I got his name and hired him to go in and do what I needed to have done. So I guess if he's not a design professional.
Well, he is, but he has certainly, from what the documents you submitted to us, we've been giving you other documents like a code analysis.
No.
Okay.
Just what I gave you. That's what he's given the code. He's given them the code, but he says he goes up there to code and asks them what they need on there, and he gets no cooperation.
He should, a design professional wouldn't necessarily need to go to a code enforcement, ask what they need. They should be able to produce it. Mr. Shaking his head, yes. Mr. Garland, architect. We have design professionals sitting in this room. I don't know what. So it seems like what you have is you're in a situation where you have a change of use. The code enforcement official is correct. Not leave till you somehow provide a code compliant plan to achieve.
Okay.
That's where we're at. I can't recommend, personally, I can't. Officially, we can't recommend any particular architect. It's kind of one of those, have to can provide detailed drawings, plans, analysis, particularly analysis for compliance. There's several methods within the existing building code to transition from agricultural building to an assembly use, such as what you're doing. This board hears cases all the time for this type of transition from an agricultural building to quite common wedding buildings.
Okay, right. So let me ask you this. So if we wanted to go, if we go ahead and get the design, why would I, as a person, put down a sprinkler system on the plans if I know I can't afford to put one in, or I just can't do it?
Well,
once it's on the plans, I have to do that.
Well, again, there are methods within the existing building code that would evaluate your building to determine if a sprinkler system is required. If after you went through an analysis of the building, the design professional does it, and you determined after you do this analysis, code compliance method, you would then, if you couldn't comply, you would come to us and saying, we can't comply with this, it's too expensive. And we propose as an alternative to do these in mitigation for the lack of this.
Okay.
And one of the nice things about aspects of the existing building code is that they give you lots of pathways to get there, so you have choices, and you can choose cheaper ways. Unfortunately, you may find all paths are a little more expensive than you have, but then there may be some other alternatives, or it's such a hard, that.
Mr. Parsons, you keep cutting out.
Okay. Also, my contractor would like to say something. He's texted me.
Okay.
That's William Bell.
Okay, Mr. Bell, you have some comment?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Can you hear me? This is William Bell, 14863 22nd Road North, Loxahatchee, Florida, actually. Not only am I a contractor, I'm also Tina's brother-in-law. And I was just asked to give a little input on the situation after reviewing some of the documents that she's received and just some basic email correspondence. So if you give me a few minutes, I'd like to just interject a few thought processes. One, I think some of the state of confusion or misunderstanding on Tina's part is the initial drawings that were submitted that she keeps referring to were the initial drawings submitted during the agricultural building submission. As per the county attorney, there's a recognize that they were submitted and that that building was complete. Since then, there's been no active code citation issued at all, per my understanding. Basically, they'll come do a field visit, give Tina a few items to correct, which she corrects. Then when they come to re-inspect, there'll be a few more items on the list, and then it just keeps prolonging the process. So with that said, this whole initiation to your board was recommended by the town to bring us there. And there's really been no official code citation or code enforcement citation issue. With that said, after reviewing a few things, I find it interesting and also important that we are talking about these shows that she has 6 or 8 times a year. 6 or 8 times a year at 3 days a show, 24 days, her building usage under this use classification is roughly 6% of the whole year is she fall under this guideline. And I think that's important consideration for the hardship of the cost and the installation of the system. Agreed, there is some prescriptives under the code to handle that direction. I think though it just needs to be clear and set, starting from the code enforcement with a specific directive, not a daily inspection. And then there was also a letter generated by the attorney Jared requesting specific information. And as of last week when we got it, the letter was vague at best. The documents that they're referring to was the old plans that Tina submitted for the ag building. So I think there's just a lot of misunderstanding, a lot of not clarification. And I think that's what Tina's trying to ask for is let's go back to the drawing board. Let me understand exactly what the situation is, what the whole parameters are, and then see if we can come up with some prescriptive methods because it is only a short-term usage in this building for that classification.
Okay. So to back up just a little bit here, the code enforcement official is required to enforce New York State law, requiring building permits. It also requires the code enforcement official act on building permits when they receive appropriate drawings, documents, and submissions for that building permit. They are required to review and approve those permits before work or changes of use can happen. At the completion of any work, they will issue a certificate of compliance or certificate of appropriateness, whatever the term, occupancy, whatever they may use, because you're actually doing a change of occupancy. They don't have a choice. That's what they're supposed to do. So we're just, this is, and frankly, New York State law is public domain. It's not a secret. It's hidden in some vault. Your attorney can look at it. The architects can review it. The building code documents are there. That is very prescriptive of how this is supposed to happen. The second piece is that when you change use to an assembly occupancy from an agriculture, it requires operating permits to be issued annually. That the code enforcement official doesn't have a choice by law. They are required to issue
An operating permit?
An operating permit for assembly use, and that the operating permit is predicated on an inspection that the building is compliant with New York State Uniform Fire Prevention Building Codes, which includes having proper permits and approvals of a change of use and a certificate of occupancy. So I don't know how to do the code enforcement official's job. This desk, I'm trying to give you some guidance.
Right.
And that typically when we have people like yourselves who come to this board, we just, we don't want to sprinkle our barn to have a wedding or an event. So what we tell them, recommend, obtain the services of an architect, a design professional, who's very knowledgeable in the laws, the codes, and that they can go through a process by reviewing your building, how it's constructed, the size and everything else, to do a very detailed analysis, and then to decide and to determine, based on what the code requirements are, what things you need to do and what things you don't need to do, because maybe you have sufficient safety already built into them.
Right.
Okay? So
what's confusing to me is why, when I've been in court with them, county court for over a year, and they tell me to come here, I'm so confused.
this would be the first step after you have an issue with the code enforcement official. This is your due process.
Okay.
This is the first step. If whatever you receive from us and we don't give you satisfaction, then obviously you go further into court. But there's a pathway of due process. Locally, you have due process. To this as board, you're going to due process on anything related to the codes. And after here, then you can go to the state courts. Sometimes people will go to the courts before us. Got to go back to them. That's kind of why you're here today. Mr. Mack, do you understand what I'm explaining?
Yes, I do. Thank you very much for your guidance.
No problem. If you heard the previous case,
I did.
there was an architect who was working with the owners. And unfortunately, this is one of those things of catch up after something started, and he was working with them. That was a little different in your situation. They had a new building. You have this building. The codes that they use are more very defined that they have. They don't have a lot of latitude. When you're listing building code change of use, one of the nice things about the building code that New York State uses it is because it gives you different pathways to achieve without meeting the brand new building standard.
Okay.
So that's why it's important to obtain the services. A good architect, and they will spend the time that needs to do to evaluate. And then, if you have a hardship in achieving compliance and you need a variance, then you come back to us. This is okay. There's things here that you wouldn't get variance for, because frankly, they're legal things that everyone would apply.
Right.
That's where we're trying to help.
Right.
Okay. I did read the legal letter. We all received a copy of it from the county attorney, and I think, they've clearly determined that your building is not code compliant. You have done, there has been an analysis to determine what you need to do. You haven't done it to bring it into compliance. So even what you put in here doesn't really give us enough information to make it any appeals or variance.
So do I go back to the code in Norwich, or do I come back here once I get an analysis from a professional?
I think you should engage with a design professional
Right.
that has experience in dealing with conversions of existing buildings
Right.
to new use.
And then after that point,
And so
and then take that back to the code officer, not back to here.
yes, you take it to them, but your code, again, your design professional might say, these are things we need to do, put in. Now, a couple statements are made about, and I believe Mr. Mack made it, in a barn or a riding arena, you can swing. That is not an impossible situation. Sprinklers can be installed. Fire detection and fire alarm systems can be installed. They may not be the same as what you have in your house. They can be installed with the proper notification. Fire alarm systems are to alert people that there's a fire condition in the building you need to evacuate. That's the purpose of those alarm systems. And they can be very simple, or they can be complex depending on the use. So it's not an impossible thing to acquire. If that is what's required. Things like the number of exits you've had out of your barn can have an impact in reducing other things you might have to do. Case we talked about, how many exits go out of a building by shortening the travel distance. That offers relief code, but it could also be mitigation for
Now, Mr.
Maybe
Parsons.
sprinkler. Yes, Maureen?
I just said you were cutting out.
Sorry.
That's what that.
I'm sorry, I can't hear Tina.
Gail.
That's what the architect is for a code summary.
I'm sorry, I can't hear what Gail is asking.
So what Gail was reinforcing is that the registered design professional, the architect, part of what they'll do is analyze the building from an existing standpoint, offer alternatives that can happen. And specifically, if you talk with an architect, it's chapter 13 of the existing building code.
Okay.
It's called a performance analysis. And they're able to go through, look at the existing building, look at the features it has, and it is kind of like doing a little bit of math. Well, if your doors are this wide and
Right.
you have this many of them, well, that is about the same level of safety as this type of fire alarm. And get a score at the end, and as long as your score meets or exceeds the base score, then those are your alternatives.
Okay.
And so once that analysis is done, that informs if you need a variance because of a hardship. So if at the end of that analysis it says, nope, you still need a sprinkler system, well, now you have, say, well, that's going to be expensive, difficult because we don't have public water, whatever those justifications could be, that's when you come to the variance.
Okay.
Our other function, and you had it marked on your application, is to appeal the decision of the code enforcement officer. So the application was marked variance and appeal. The other thing we do is appeal decisions by code enforcement. Right now, we don't have, at least in documentation, I didn't see any, what's that? Yeah, there's no violation that we have been handed in writing in here where you're saying their violation is incorrect and I want relief from that violation. Sounds like a lot of things have been happening kind of verbally between you and them. We would encourage the code office to follow the policies and procedures within the codes of issuing things in writing. If there's a stop work order, if there's a violation, if there's something like that, this is where for them to do their job administratively, there should be things in writing that they're issuing when they're making a decision or if they're looking at something. So we would encourage that the code office you're working with would do those practices.
It appears that the only thing that I've seen is there, and this is based on the letter from the county attorney, is you don't have a certificate of occupancy that's required to occupy and use the structure. Well, it doesn't go into the details of change of use. You certainly can use the structure for reading and all that stuff. It's the assembly what it appears they're objecting. Again, I'm trying to interpret the letter,
Right.
but that's what comes in. They did issue, there was an inspection.
The court ordered them to inspect it in the beginning of December, and we still haven't got an inspection report from them.
Okay.
So I know my attorney has wrote them several letters asking, like, just even if they had told us what you just told us, we would have been on the right path. But
Bill,
There's a fire inspection exhibit 4 from November 23rd, 2021.
Who's speaking?
That was Jeff Hinderlater.
yeah. And this was done because of inspection or?
no, that was done prior. They came in and did the fire inspection. And then I've got the 2 appearances to go to court. So I've been in court with them for over a year. It was last March I went to court with them. and trying to resolve all these solutions that they come up with. And then this last time they said I needed to have a fire alarm system on blueprints, which I got. They denied it and sent me to get a variance because, and that's why I'm here.
Okay.
So I'm just, you know, and everything on that list was completed. Just so you know, anything that he found was completed, and anything they've asked me to do since then has been completed. And so yeah, they issued me a building permit in 2019. I have verification that they issued me one. But then when I go back in, they tell me I don't have a building permit, and it's a change of occupancy permit I have. So that is very confusing to the public when it says footers and everything on it, and it says right on the top of it, building permit. So that's why me and my attorney have been so confused about this whole situation, is that we keep being told we don't have building permits when I paid for it. Several times now I've had to renew it and pay for it.
Okay. Code enforcement official, hear from you. Mr. Gorman.
Yep, I'm here. I am going to have Mr. Fox address this. He's been the lead on it.
Okay. Mr. Fox, you'll need to state your name and address again.
Steve Fox, Shenango County Code Enforcement. It's 5 Court Street, Norwich, New York.
Okay, go ahead with your information you'd like to share with us.
Well, that's a long story. So this building, as you know, was initially put up for a horse breeding business under the agricultural exemption. It has never been issued a certificate of occupancy. No building permit was actually issued for the agricultural building. Since then, their business has expanded to riding lessons and what I will call rodeo type events. And then it's moved into go-kart racing. So when we noticed these riding events getting larger all the time, we confronted Mrs. Favorito at the Rough Riders Arena, and we tried to work with her numerous times. We've done inspections. Bill Knickerbocker, who is no longer with this office, did the fire inspection. So we were trying to take baby steps with Miss Favorito, understanding that she doesn't have a lot of money to work with and not a lot of money in this type of events. And then the go-kart races came about, so that's when we decided, okay, this has to stop. So that's when we issued the cease and desist order, the county attorney did. So this particular building, I have walked through it. It does have the exit signs and emergency lights that she mentioned, but they're not over a proper egress door. They're over sliding barn doors, large doors at that. So if the doors were closed, you wouldn't be able to get out of this building. The building has a mezzanine constructed of wood, which doesn't have proper railings and guards and that sort of thing. There's only one egress out of that. Again, there's not, the egress out of this building is not anywhere near code. And they did put in a fire pond here just a month or so ago, which will help the cause as far as water supply. But other than that, this building doesn't have any safety features that I would be comfortable with an A4 occupancy. And especially with the go-kart racing, this has been going back and forth. It's been on Facebook. I've spoken with the race promoter. I've spoken with one of the racers who actually called me, and he was going to volunteer some of their services to help Ms. Favorito bring this building into compliance, till I shared with him some of the things that were needed to be done. So they decided not to have the races again. They did hold one race last year, in which they had bales of hay in this building and hay strewn about the floor of the building while the go-karts were in there racing. So that led to more of the cease and desist order. And we have been to court numerous times on this. She was issued an appearance ticket for a failure to comply with a written order. There's been a couple of tickets issued. One for an unlawful use of the building, an unlawful building because of the A4 going, and it's not been properly changed to an A4 occupancy from the agricultural portion of this building. And I apologize to the board for bringing this to you, but after trying to work with the Favoritos numerous times, I kind of came to my wit's end of how to deal with them. So I asked them one more time, and I've asked them several times and told them that we need proper drawings for everything before we could really do a thorough inspection of the building to know what we were looking for. So, and I tried to express to them, as you did, that it's not our job to design this building for them, just to inspect what they have there. We have tried to give them guidance as best we can without designing the building for them. At one point, the last time I was there in December on the judge's order, I did walk through with Vincent Favorino, would be Tina's son, and pointed out where he should put exit doors. And I did stress to him, don't do anything and throw your money away until you get a design professional to get you proper drawings. So that's when they came up with this drawing that you have as an exhibit. It shows the egress doors, where they're located, but not the size or how they're constructed. So the last time we were in court, I said to Tina, submit your drawings. We'll either approve or deny them. And if we deny them, and then you can apply for a variance. So that's how we got to this point.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate the comment. This is from a code enforcement called the slippery slope. Time when code enforcement officials allow something that's probably needs a change of use, things can migrate to other things that it sounds like the go-kart race.
Yes, we did have one as a benefit, and once we heard back from the code enforcement, we didn't do any more.
Well, and the pictures of your arena and stuff certainly raise concerns for us about it being a public gathering. Not done with building permits. Maybe it was, maybe it wouldn't be typical of building that stuff as part of an agriculture. It would be typical if you're building an A4, building mezzanines, places for people to work. So, two pathways we can do this. We could adjourn this case, allow you to go back to having to reapply for another variance appeal, to go through getting a design professional, to go through a detailed analysis, figure out what changes. Or we could just, the board could act, applicate these items that you're looking for variances and act on them, but probably not in a favorable manner, if any of them at all. And again, that's me speaking, I'm not speaking for the rest. I'm trying to give you some latitude here. You want us to act on this? I think I'm ready. But, or we can put it on pause, let you go back and think about where your position is. The other opportunity is you could just go back to being an agricultural building and not do horseshoe, barrel racing, whatever it is. Just use it.
Right.
Somewhere there, you have to make some decisions.
Right.
We can, again, we can adjourn this and put this in limbo for a little while.
Yes, I think that's what we should do. I'm just trying to wait for my.
Yep. Unless Tina disagrees, I think this is the sense of direction we were looking for. And I think we know where to go with it now, and would like some time to engage a design professional, as you recommended, to try to give us a pathway to keep this business running.
Okay. Mr. Mack, a couple of things that I would, as attorney, you might want to just do a little looking into. If you go to the Department of State's website for building codes and standards, they have links to the I think it's part 1203, which is the standards by which code enforcement is done at the local level, which specifies all the actions that local code enforcement is required to do, so you can understand that, as well as the process within that website is for doing variances. There's also links to the building code as well, if you have specific things related to the building code. Having some familiarity with part 1203, I think would be very helpful for you and understand where the code enforcement official is coming from. I think part of the problem here is that the code enforcement official was kind of allowing the horse shows to go on when they probably shouldn't have. But I think they were, looking at this kind of like, well, it's kind of agricultural, not. But I think it's when it crossed into this other venue that was less involving with the animals at the farm, it kind of pushed it to the level where it sounds like their comfort level wasn't there. And clearly there's dates in here that look like this is going back for three years, right?
17.
So, and you have some decisions back, I'm sure, provide you some guidance. Really encourage you to seek out a
Oh, definitely.
good design professional architect.
Yes.
Nothing against engineers, they're good engineers out there, but they're architects who are very good at this.
Yeah, and we understand that we understand that. We thought we were doing what we were supposed to by choosing from the list the county gave us to use, and it sounds like that probably wasn't the case.
Okay. I'm going to make a motion to adjourn this case until a date by which maybe revisit what you're looking for. More information for us.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Lighter second. Mustak. Garland. Lighter. Aye. And chair votes aye, 4 ayes, no nays. The case is to a later date deemed by the applicant.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
And that's it for today, Maureen.
Okay.
We can go off the record.
We're off the record.
Thank you.